There was never a peace process. It was a joke to begin with. How do you play this game with people's lives?
Hello, Rabbi Friedman. So, we're entering another election round in Israel.
Should be good at it by now.
Very well trained. It looks like for the first time in the history of the state of Israel, we are stuck in a loop. Looks like something in the system has, something in the balance there has changed in a way that is almost catatonic. There's nothing, it's impossible to make a choice. A proper choice that actually stays stable. So I think people are very confused because at first they had ideas that they believed in, parties, politicians, leaders, promises that they wanted to support. But now they don't believe anyone anymore. So it's a good opportunity to talk about the state of Israel. The state, as in, what state is it in?
State of the Union.
Yeah. What is Israel, really? Let's go for that. You love definitions, right? Let's define things. We're choosing a leader for the state of Israel. What is Israel?
Many years ago, the Rebbe supported Yitzchak Shamir. And somebody asked the Rebbe, so you think Yitzchak Shamir is the best prime minister? And the Rebbe said, till Mashiach comes, he'll be the best. So really, Israel should be governed by Mashiach. Nothing less. In the meantime, until it happens, you have to have somebody better than nothing, right? So it seems like in these last couple of years, it has become so clear and so obvious that we need Mashiach. This is realistic and practical. So I just heard very good news from Washington. I have connections in Washington. The news in Washington was that the reputation or the buzz of what is going on in Israel, they're talking about it in Washington, that what's going on in Israel is a religious renaissance. The most popular symbol of an Israeli is a pair of tefillin. This is amazing. All the popular singers who used to sing pop songs and rock songs and rap songs, they're all singing about God. Now, a little bit of the credit can go to Avram Fried on that one. But what they're saying in Washington is that the culture has changed. People don't want to hear about liberal ideas. They want to hear about traditional ideas. This is what's happening, I think, even in the political circles. Liberal concepts, liberal democracy, we're a democracy. Nobody wants to hear it anymore because we're not. We're democratic. We're not a democracy. We're a Jewish state. How can that be a democracy? If you say this is a state for Jews, this is a Jewish country, you can't call it a democracy after that. Because in a democracy, the majority votes in whoever they want. So if the majority votes for a non-Jewish cabinet, a non-Jewish Knesset, well then a democracy goes with it. But we're not about to let that happen because it has to remain a Jewish state. So you're not a democracy even though you're democratic. You have democratic values, you have democratic principles, but you're not a democracy. And that confusion has paralyzed everybody. So what do? The truth is that it's always been this way. Claiming to be a democracy is very good for export. Sounds good in America. But in the Middle East, democracy is not an attractive idea. Nobody's impressed. On the contrary, if you speak in the name of Moshe Rabbeinu, if you speak in the name of the Torah, people will listen. Because the Middle East is a religious hothouse. You speak in the name of Abraham Lincoln, nobody's going to listen. You're not impressing anybody. So this romance with having good relations with America, those days are gone. We don't need good relations with America. We need good relations with our neighbors. And if you want to talk to your neighbors, start talking about God and show them a better way to serve God, and they will become your best friends.
What does God in the Torah say about this land, this piece of earth?
Everybody in the world refers to it as the Holy Land. There's no debate about that. What makes it a holy land? It's the land that God chose, the land that he asked Avraham to join him in. Come to my land, the land that I will show you. And this is where Judaism lived and thrived. This is the incubator, the cradle of Jewish life, of the Jewish people. So coming back to Israel was not because we had no other place to be. They offered us Birabidjan, Uganda, Miami Beach. We had places we could go. We weren't really looking for a place, although we desperately needed a place. But we weren't looking just for a place. We were looking for a return to who we really are. Deep down in the soul of the early Zionists, it wasn't because we wanted to survive. We can survive elsewhere. We didn't feel comfortable. We didn't like ourselves being Hungarian, being Romanian, being Ukrainian, being Polish, being Russian. That's not us. So the reason we wanted to get away and find our own place is because we wanted to go back to being us. Not to being Democrats. To be us, with our unique identity, our unique culture or habits or belief. And so Israel was the only place. It wasn't just an available geography. Somehow we got distracted. Politics can do that. And so for many, many years, we just went about it in a very clumsy way. And people noticed, Jews are so smart. They're so good at everything. They're the best violinists. They're the best chess players. They're the best comedians. Why are they so incapable of running their own country? Why is it so complicated, so difficult, so splintered? Like all of a sudden we're not so smart. It was because we were being torn between our soul and our body. The body demanded one thing and the soul demanded something else, and we couldn't figure it out. But today, the soul has finally won the battle. People don't want to hear about liberal concepts. They don't want to hear about giving up territories, giving away pieces of Eretz Yisrael. Those ideas are so unacceptable to the neshama. making compromises. If we'll give you land, will you give us peace? What is this? This is not emes, it's not the truth, it's not reality. Stop playing these games that nobody really trusts and nobody really believes in. Like, for how long, as long as I can remember, there was talk about a peace process. And the argument was against certain activity because it's going to interrupt the peace process. There was never a peace process. It was a joke to begin with. How do you play this game with people's lives? Now there's a big issue, a big controversy. If rockets are coming out of a building aimed at Israel, and there are children in that building, what do you do?
It's a moral dilemma.
It is a moral dilemma? No, it's not. The simple answer that everybody in the world understands is that if you're at war, you're not at war with rockets, you're not at war with soldiers, you're at war with a nation. Right? V'yisa goy el goy cherev. Nation against nation, not soldier against soldier. It's not a polite little fight that you have in a boxing ring. It's a nation. So if you're at war with a nation, you fight the nation, however they want to go about the fighting. So there's no moral dilemma. You protect your own people, you protect your own soldiers. And who dies among the enemy? That's their business, not ours. If they don't want to die, stop fighting. If you're going to fight, you're going to die. Not we're going to die. Like somebody said, in the art of war, it's not how much you sacrifice for your country. It's how much you make them sacrifice for their country. Let them be the martyrs. Don't sacrifice your own people. Not only is it not a moral dilemma, it's such an immoral question. What are you saying? Maybe we should let our soldiers die to protect their children? Is that a moral question? What, your soldiers are disposable? Come on. See, if we stop playing games and just go with what is real and true, there's no confusion. It's very simple, it's very real, and it's very moral.
Rabbi, when you say that Israel is the only place that Jews really belong to and really can be themselves in, and where they're meant to be, I have to ask you what the Israelis watching this are going to immediately think. We are doing this interview abroad, and you're part of a community that doesn't live in Israel. So why aren't you doing Aliyah and joining us in the struggle for making Israel a better place?
Israel is the place where Jews belong. So, what do you need first, Jews or a place? The Jews come first. Jews belong in the Holy Land. Do the Jews know this? Do they know they're Jewish? Do they know how to be Jewish? Do they know why they should be Jewish? This is absolutely essential. So you can't put the land before the people. Right? That never makes any sense. Being a great patriot, like the famous quote, "I regret I have but one life to give for my country." You don't give your life for your country. Ever, ever, ever. The country is good for your life, not for your death. So you don't die for a land. You don't give up on Jews in order to have a land or a government. The Jew comes first, and then the Jew needs a place that he belongs. There's also the really ambitious, ultimate cosmic plan that the whole world should become a holy land, so that wherever a Jew is, he will feel like he belongs. And that's really the struggle for thousands of years. To have one tiny little country be the Holy Land and the rest is not? This is God's plan. The whole world needs to become holy. And it will, because that's the whole plan, that the earth, the lowest world, should become the most godly place of all, more godly than heaven. We've put a lot of effort into that for 3,000 years. And that can't be in vain. So three things, I guess. Number one, we got to make sure that Jews are inspired as Jews, know that they're Jews and know how to be Jews, so that they would appreciate a holy land to begin with. Secondly, if Jews everywhere are doing what Jews are supposed to do, including inspiring the non-Jews around them, then every country will become a holy land. If all countries become a holy land, what will make Israel different? It will become the Holy of Holies. The Holy of Holies is where every Jew belongs at least 3 times a year. But where they live the rest of the year, any place that's holy. So everything goes up, increases in holiness, including the Holy Land. It can get holier. It will get holier. It will become the Holy of Holies to the holiness of the rest of the world. Now that's a plan.
When people in Israel hear the words Holy Land and God and Torah in relations to elections and the state and politics, there's one thing that really scares them. And it doesn't matter if they're secular or lightly observant or tradition, like the mainstream. They don't want religious dictatorship style of Iran or something like this, and they're really scared that the Torah will become the governmental law system. So, for example, a woman must cover her hair or she goes to jail or something. So everything is so basically what they're scared of is that the Torah and the laws of the Torah belong to a earlier civilization, and by returning them and making them something that is enforced by the government, this is the biggest fear and terror for people, and it creates a lot of tension in every election round.
So first of all, you have just given us the best proof that Israel can't be a democracy. You hear what you're saying? We don't want those people running our country. Yeah, but what if they're the majority? Well, we're going to fight them. We're going to stop them. No. In a democracy, the majority wins and you go along with it. If you disagree with an election and you say, this is not my government, you're a traitor. This is not a democracy. So again, it proves we're not a democracy. We're not open to whoever is the majority. So what are we? What game are we playing here? But the fear is a legitimate one. Imposed religion is a horrendous idea. Under King David, for example, under King Solomon, they were democratically elected kings. That's a funny combination, right? kingdom in Jewish law, in Jewish life, is always voluntary. We coronate our kings. They don't just take over and dictate. So there's a difference in Hebrew between a melech and a moshel. A moshel has the power and he does whatever he wants, whether the people like it or not. We don't have that. We have a melech. And a melech is, like it said, umalchuse berotzein kiblu aleihem. So if you force a religion, then it's not religion at all. It's just politics, dressed up as religion. Forcing people to follow mitzvahs is not even being religious. It's just a dictatorship. Serving God is a voluntary, intimate relationship that needs to be inspired, not enforced. So if we're looking for the ideal future, it's a future in which people spontaneously, because their Jewish soul is Jewish, choose to live a Jewish lifestyle. Not the government is going to force it. The biggest primary responsibility of a government is to protect, to make sure that people can live out the lives they choose to live. Because if there's no peace, you can't live at all. So that's why this has been a failure, because there is no peace. Shalom, shalom, ve'ein shalom. So the government provides security, the government provides infrastructure. The rest comes from the people. Isn't that a democracy? So the mitzvahs, the Torah, the Jewishness comes from the people, never from a government. So you don't need the biggest tzaddik to be the prime minister. Doesn't matter whether he's a tzaddik. Just leave the people alone so that they can be as holy as they choose. The other thing is, when it comes to elections, even though it's not ideal, people should vote for the most traditionally oriented believer who has values that are Jewish, not people who want to be popular in Washington. That's pretty clear, no? You want leaders who are traditional, who are moral, who are proud of their Jewish heritage and want to keep it. So on both sides, there are candidates that are not very appealing. So it is a balancing act. Where do you find that perfect balance of an open-minded person who is deeply committed to values? How do you do that? I guess if we had that kind of leadership, we wouldn't even call it politics.
That connects to my second question. What is the connection between Prime Minister and Mashiach? Mashiach is a spiritual religious figure. Prime Minister is a functional political figure. You're mixing two worlds in a way. Are the elections connected to Mashiach in any way?
The short-term problem is security. The prime minister who wants to give away territories, who wants to give away shtachim, is dangerous. It won't bring peace. It'll only bring more attacks and more aggression from the enemy because they see they're getting somewhere. Here they get a little piece of this and a little piece of that. It's working. So they'll continue doing what they do. And that's not acceptable. That certainly doesn't enhance the process of Mashiach coming. And then very practically, you give away territories of Eretz Yisrael. Mashiach comes, now you have to take it back. So what are you doing? So yes, Mashiach is going to come. But what is he going to find? That we took pieces of Eretz Yisrael and we gave it away? So who the prime minister is until Mashiach comes, which is not even, how much is a term? How long is a term in 4 years? It's not even going to be a term for an administration. But it matters. It matters a lot. A prime minister that encourages Jewish pride and Jewish safety helps bring Mashiach. You know, even in the best of times, Shlomo HaMelech was the king, but Nasan Hanavi was the authority, the moral authority. So Mashiach doesn't have to be the prime minister and worry about building roads, but he has to be the moral authority of the prime minister.
What can an Israeli citizen do in the following weeks towards elections and on the day of the elections to benefit his people, his country, and the world?
Show the politicians what you are looking for and what you're hoping for. Let them know. Let them know that you want a government that supports Jews, for Jews, by Jews, of Jews. No apologies, no compromises. This is us. This is our place. What are we playing games for? And that all Jewish values are absolutely divine, eternal. We want them forever. We're going to keep them forever. And if that's what the people want, then that's what a government is supposed to provide. So putting on tefillin, lighting Shabbos candles, singing songs that are full of Jewish content, that will send a message. You want to be elected? Be a good Jew.